my TomTom in the back, and I intend to sleep inside of him tonight. Just to give you a preview of the evening, we're going to go to 11 o'clock. How is that? Let's send you off in that. Cold night. We got mics here. We're going to go this way in a triangle. Start right here. How are you, sir?
Oh, awesome.
You can turn the house lights up.
I'm good, man. I came from Newfoundland to see you. You favored my tweet, actually.
Right on.
Yeah.
I'm a big, a lot of people ask, they're like, yeah, you know, people go, my friends say you use it, bless you. My friend said that you didn't really favorite my tweet. It was just somebody in your office, but no, I sit there and favorite tweets, but this will creep me out a little bit. I do it on the toilet all the time. So when you see a string of stars, that's like a long shit.
You've actually favored a lot of mine over the years, so that's pretty cool. The circle is complete. I came here to see you from Newfoundland. Like I've had the honor now of like interacting and spending time with three of my heroes in life. Number one, my dad, but I shot out of his dick, so I guess, you know, no surprise I got to spend time with him, I should hope so.
That's how I left my father.
I know. We're practically fucking twins. I know. Number two, Bobby Orr.
You met Bobby Orr?
I did, much like Gretzky is one of your heroes, Orr is one of mine, and I had the pleasure of coaching alongside of him. About 5 years ago, actually, we did a clinic together, and I spent an extensive amount of time with him and got to know him a little bit. Just a fucking lovely dude.
He seems like the nicest human being in the world.
He is.
As fuck, and like here is a legend of a person that could do something that few people in the world have done even since. In an age of like far superior athletes and shit, he still stands head and shoulders above.
Yeah.
And any interaction people have with him, like, that guy's fucking nice. I love to watch him interviewed. I used to sit there and watch for about 2 months straight. I was on a Bobby Orr bender and shit.
Yeah.
I'd get high and watch his interviews.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't give a lot, but
no.
when he does, he's so fucking smiley and jovial. He was on Strombo once, man, and did an interview with George Strombolos. And I fucking love that interview. I get blazed and watch him like, you tell him, number 4. He's a lovely dude, man. Lovely dude. One of 3 heroes in my life, and man, you're number 3. And oh my God, what great company.
I am so fucking happy.
I love standing shoulder to shoulder with Bobby Orr and your father's cock. That's estimable company.
Thank you for coming here.
Thanks for having me.
And you've been a wonderful source of inspiration and encouragement to myself, and I think, and my wife, who's right here.
Thank you. Hi.
To move forward in life and keep...
I'm just looking at her face and what it screams. Look at her face, dude. It screams right now. He is so getting fucked tonight. She's shooting you. She's like, sexy. Look at him confronting the fat hockey jersey guy. Like, it's going to work out for you, man.
Yeah, I hope so, man.
You guys are staying in a hotel nearby?
We are, yeah.
Holy shit, can I come watch you fuck tonight?
Yeah. Shit, yes. It would be an honor.
Halifax, fucking rolled out and shit. There's a glass table in my hotel room. I can lay under it. You'd be my hero, I'll tell you that much. She just put the phone down. She's like, fuck this.
But you've been a wonderful source of inspiration to me
thank you so
over the years, and I thank you for that. Like your positivity and the way you just put out there, your genuineness, and the fact that you're accessible in a venue like this is not something that a lot of people do, and you don't need to do this.
Yeah, I do. Oh my God, I live for this shit. Otherwise, I have no idea. I have no sense of self-esteem. I need to stand in front of a bunch of strangers who are like, "You are smart and good." Trade-off, right? It's a total trade-off. I come here, get a nice esteem boost, and I try to make people laugh. That's the fucking swap and shit. So when people are like, you don't have to do this, I'm like, yeah, I do. Otherwise, I'm sitting home going, nobody fucking loves me. So here I am, and I'm like, hey, I feel fucking great.
It's an honor. Before I ask my question, can I come up and get a quick hug?
Oh my God, please, yes. I don't know where it is. Oh, they're right over the side. I'll just walk down. Hello. Here it comes. Maybe literally. I'm coming. Ask your question while you're here. It'd be so weird if you just walked back down there. We've crossed the line here.
You seem to remember things really well. Like, and I know, like, through being a fan of your work, obviously, and through listening to the shows, that you take great pride in documenting your own personal history. So my question is, and I want to have something unique that I've never heard asked before. So, like, is it just keeping your own personal records of your life that you're able to recall things so well, or have you had any special training in memory or anything like that? And if so, can you give me help, because sometimes I have trouble remembering what I ate for lunch yesterday. So
you're a fucking damn pretty man, dude. Sit down before I fuck you. Honestly, I've always been insanely sentimental and nostalgic, even from a young age. I remember when we saw Empire Strikes Back. Return of the Jedi. When the trilogy ended in 1983, I loved those movies when I was a kid. Grew up watching them, had all the toys and shit. By the time we got to 8th grade, most of the people that I had played Star Wars with had kind of left it behind, because they're like, I got to 3rd base and shit like that. And I was like, I got to the Rebel base, you know? So by the time 1983 rolled around, most of the cats that were hardcore Star Wars fans had kind of fallen away. But they were still interested in seeing the fucking 3rd one, because, hey, why the fuck not? But for me, it was absolute religion, you know? It's like I was there opening night because I was like, are you kidding me? Once this is all done, I don't even know who I'm going to be anymore, man. Because they said they were only making fucking 3 of them. And so we walked out of Return of the Jedi and shit, and the Ewoks notwithstanding, I was like, right on, man. Like, fucking, I felt something, a real pull at age 13. And it should have been like the pull of like women, relationships. But instead I was just sitting there going, God, it's over. And I remember I was walking there with Ernie O'Donnell, Mike Bellicose, and Ernie O'Donnell's father. And we're walking out to the parking lot. And this might be a common sentiment today, because the world is much more movie friendly and pop culture friendly, and as we can see by the internet and shit. But in 1983, with no internet, barely any cable fucking TV, when a 13-year-old boy goes, wow, we have nothing left to live for after that. And a fucking parent hears it. If you said that today, they might send you into counseling. Ernie's dad was like, what are you, a fucking idiot? I was like, I like those movies. It's a big part of my childhood. And he goes, you're still a child. So I don't know, I've always been geared toward that, so I tend to remember things. Like, everything's kind of important in my life. You know, look, I'm the world's biggest Kevin Smith fan. And everybody should be the world's biggest you fan, right? Like, that's the idea. Who the fuck is going to like you more than your fucking self? So as the world's biggest Kevin Smith fan throughout Kevin Smith's life, I've always been like, oh, that's fucking cool. I got to remember that. Documenting things that wouldn't mean much to other people, but kind of mean shit to me. And even as a young kid, I would store a lot of shit that most people like threw away because they'd make room for something else or whatever. It all comes in handy later on, particularly right now. I'm in this weird period of prolificacy for the last, well, not in movies, that's only been the last, year. But the podcast thing's been going for 8 years. And when I realized, ooh, I love this podcast thing, I just want to dump my whole life into it and shit. Because I figured by the time I die, they're going to find a way to fucking do AI. And they can take all those podcasts and recreate me. It's like my fucking, what is it called? The Pensive in Harry Potter. All those fucking podcasts are me going, oh, I remember this. And I put them there so I don't really have to remember them. And I could put them all together later on. But I can't forget shit. I believe me, I'll forget fucking, to put the toilet seat down. My wife yells at me and shit like that. But I can't forget, life moments like that. I don't know, that's all I got, fucking the idea of, this happened. I'm a real experiential kind of person, and maybe it's because I'm a writer, because it all fucking goes into that. So it helps to steel trap it. I found, later in life, and, particularly with a lot of weed, it's tougher to fucking trap that shit, so I tend to write shit down or put it on podcasts. So there's a lot of times in life where I'm just like, don't say anything, we gotta put it on a podcast so that it can live there, because otherwise I might not fucking remember it. But I have always been pretty good about that. She'll steel trap, man. And, now I can sit there and just kind of look at a calendar and be like, oh, fuck, it's Friday. And I particularly do this on weekends. I'm like, Friday night, man, what would I be doing in 1983 to Friday night? And thanks to the internet, you just see the movies that were out and shit. Last week or 2 weeks ago, I tweeted, fucking 30 years ago, or 35 years ago, whatever it is, from this moment, I was waiting for a ride from my parents. I called them from the theater, and we just saw the fucking Breakfast Club and shit like that. And so people are like, how the fuck can you remember that? I was like, oh, it's kind of half remembered. Like, I remember at that moment calling my mom and being like, can you pick us up? And I remember sitting there talking to my friends going, I fucking love that movie and shit like that. And having my friends be like, oh, I want to fuck Molly Ringwald. And me being like, that's not the point. The point is, like, it said something to all of us. So by looking, thanks to the internet, I look at that fucking thing, I'm like, oh shit, it came out like fucking a week ago, and I remember I didn't say fucking week 1, so I did. So it's week 2, so I knew this would be the weekend I could put up that fucking tweet. So it's half remembered shit in that place where you can piece it together. But there are big moments, like I have big movie moments. My whole fucking life was mapped out by movies, right? Like, if I can tell you when shit happened based on when Star Wars was out, the first Batman was out. My life, I break into 2 periods, like BC, AD, before Clerks, after Dante. You know? So it's just that. Some people dig sports and shit like that. I just kind of dig moments, like real human moments. I've always tried to collect those and then filter them and put them into the fucking flicks. That's what those flicks are, right? It's all filtered moments from my childhood and my youth, and then I put them into the flicks and put different character names on them and stuck them out there. Now it's even easier. Now I just sit down with my friends, and instead of saying, hey, here's Brody from Mallrats, you know, just like, hey, here's Walt Flanagan, the guy that I based Brody on. Listen to him fucking talk on a podcast. Or Brian Johnson was the basis for Randall. So instead of going like, here's Randall, I'm like, here's Brian Johnson. He was the original Randall, and you can hear all his goofy thoughts and stuff. So I started bringing those fuckers into it as well, into the pensive as well. Like, that's what I thought Smodcast would be in the beginning when I first started recording. I was like, this is going to be like an audio biography that I can record for the rest of my life. But then I started bringing in everybody else to do shows, and it is still kind of an audio biography, but now, like, their biography's woven into it as well and shit like that. So, I don't know, it's not like no training. It was cool when you were like, do you have training? I thought for a second, I was like, man, like Batman, like fucking memory training and shit. Or Jedi like training. Nothing. I'm just fucking a nostalgic idiot, so I tend to remember shit.
Thank you for your inspiration.
Thank you.